Dynamite Download. Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
Mariah May,
my real story does connect with a lot of people.
That you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
I never say never about anything.
Yeah.
Raw horse.
Raw horse?
Oh my god!
Amazing.
I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
This podcast is, quite frankly, the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
Today spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
What's up, Dynamite Download, Universe and Galaxy? It is Mindrunner, and of course with us is the man with the unmuted mic. It is the goon himself, the SPD.
What is up, everyone? Sorry, I was trying to get our stream onto Instagram, and for some reason it was like double playing it, so I just canceled that little faction there. Maybe I'll try it again soon, but I'm on hotel Wi-Fi, so bear with me if you get a little lagginess, anything like that. Feel free to let me know in the chat and bear with us. But what is up? You know, I got one eye on the stream, one eye on the game. Huge hockey fan, hockey player myself. It is the biggest game of the year so far. We got the Team USA versus Canada in the finals of the Four Nations Face-Off. It's a big night, just like last night was a big night. Coming back from overseas and having such a killer show, and then following up with an excellent Dynamite, a live one with a hot crowd. Once again, as we've saying, week after week after week, venue booking placement, whoever's doing these scouting, top-notch stuff, because it's working, because these small intimate crowds are killers.
Yes, absolutely. By the way, Steve wants to know the score of the hockey game.
The score of the game is 1-1. USA just scored, and the first period's about to end. So going into first intermission, so it's a good time to tune in. Big hit by Team USA right here. We got 45 seconds to go, 1-1. So it's a great game. I thought you were asking the score of the draft, because I'm sure you're going to be really curious about that, Steven.
We're gonna definitely talk about that here in just a second. Also, Steven says thumbs up. That's a great idea. Thumbs up on this video. Please make sure you like, and if you haven't already, subscribe, because this is your source for positivity about AEW wrestling. And I'm with you. Like, Grand Slam was a collision, but it felt like a pay-per-view, and last night felt like a fallout episode of Dynamite after a pay-per-view. A lot of changes, a lot of cool stuff happened.
I'm just so bummed. Like, I don't want to say I'm bummed about anything AEW, but I just wish that for the wrestling fans and the wrestling community that Grand Slam got a bigger spotlight than it did, because it delivered on pay-per-view quality level. The crowd was epic. Excuse me. I know we talked about it on our Collision Control Center, but it just doesn't. It just was just so unfortunate the way the stupid NBA All-Star game and all that was going on. Like, they should have negotiated this well in advance, that this is like our locked-in time slot. We're going all the way to Australia for a special. Like, we need this slot, period. You know, or AEW should have pivoted and pushed it to something else. You know, make it work. You know, coming on at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, not ideal there, Bob. So, I mean, it was unfortunate. But, however, anyone who got to rewatch it, because on Max it's great. You can skip the commercials. You can fast forward. You can pause. It delivered in so much levels. And, you know, it started hot, ended hot, and everything in between. It's time. I mean, we're cooking a revolution. We are full throttle revolution. And honestly, like, when this was a blank slate, I did not predict a lot of the matches that we have upcoming in Revolution, and I'm pumped for it, because pure wrestling, I feel like it's going to be tough to match at any other future pay-per-view the rest of the year that we're getting.
Yeah, it's incredible. And Grand Slam was definitely the catalyst for a lot of new storylines, wrapped up a lot of old ones, A lot of cool stuff happened. I love that, like you said too. We talked a little bit about these smaller venues, these smaller, more compact, like louder venues. The Brisbane, I mean, crikey, dingo, these guys were hot. And then last night not in Arizona, these folks were hot. Of course, there was, we'll talk a little bit this later about the reaction to a lot of different things, but they were really into it. It almost had a Daily's Place vibe, like the setup and everything too. It really felt like that. But before we go to the scores of everything else, perhaps there's something else we need to get into first. And how the mighty have fallen. Oh my goodness, heavy is the crown. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen McChambers Gillicuddy is at the top of the mountain with 15 points. Incredible.
Unreal. I'm happy with this. And he's got the wild card ace, as we all know, which is Orange Cassidy. And sadly, OC is back in action. So he's going to be in the win column, I feel like, for a little while, and just, that consistent +1, +1, +1. But I'm coming for you, Steven. I'm coming. I'm not going down without a fight because I want that top spot back.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, see, here's the thing is, this is not like Full Tilt Deb's joking. She says she's still bringing up the rear. Of course, I'd hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave. If anybody's going to bring up the rear, it's the sexiest caboose in wrestling. But it will be Full Tilt Deb at number 4 is still in it. Anything can a great couple episodes could put anybody in the lead. Bobby at 7, Brent at 9. I'm like 5th place and I'm only 4 points away from the lead. So anything can happen any given Wednesday, any given Saturday. This is going to be tremendous. Plus, after Revolution, we got our +3. There's a lot of hot prospects that are. What's that?
2 +3s. Someone's getting a +3 from the bingo card, and then we're going to be +3 on our teams.
Yes, we're adding 3 more plus the bingo card. So that's anything can happen. A lot of hot prospects out there. Megan Bain. There's a lot of folks coming in. There's still some folks that have yet to debut that are already signed with AEW.
All right.
But we'll have to see what that is. All cool. But we definitely want to get to our Dynamite report. Picture of the week definitely goes to Hangman Adam Page with the blep for the week there. SBD, that great picture there you got.
Yeah, so a little backstory of this real quick. I was flying last night, and on Delta, some flights you get live TV, and so that's great. My flight was a little delayed, and so I was able to watch Dynamite live in the air thanks to Delta. And then it was a little glitchy here and there, so that froze on this scene with the old tongue sticking out for about 20 seconds. So it's pretty funny. I was able to capture that. But this is the cover art of the show, that's for sure. For
it's tremendous.
And MJF kicking off the show in quite the epic fashion. I mean, I saw a tweet online how this was a 23-minute or so segment, one of the biggest segments of AEW, commercial free, starting off Dynamite. And honestly, it didn't feel 23 minutes. I was watching my clock or my watch, and I'm like, man, they're still going. But I feel like both guys elevated each other. Both guys really held their own. Both guys have already created this feud to, inferno levels last week. And then now with especially getting spit in the face by MJF Hangman, I don't care who you are. If you're spitting in my face, I'm coming out swinging. That is one of the ultimate disrespect things you can do to another human being. And wow, And it's typical MJ fashion. I mean, this isn't the first time he spit in someone's face. I mean, he throws his gum in the crowd every single week. So it's almost the same thing there. Some lucky Mark is getting gum smashed in your face.
Yeah.
But this one, how did it make you feel like watching this whole segment, 23 minutes worth of back and forth?
It was one of those things. Here is one of the things I thought was interesting. It was one of the longest back and forth promo battles they've had in a long time, and yet, and on one side it felt like they were filling time, but it was compelling the whole time. Like you could, there was a slow boil with Hangman, and I think what they're doing. This is one of the things that's great with MJF, shoot wise, is he customs his promos to his target, and he mixes that a little bit of shoot with the real. Of course, that famously got some people a little sore at him, but that's one of the things MJF does, is he knows that the fans know behind the scenes stuff. But I thought it was fantastic the way he was manipulating Hangman and how he was making those comments, and when he hit the nerve with Christopher Daniels,
right,
the fans chanting "Fallen Angel," that was tremendous. And then, of course, he stops. He realizes, I'm going to get Hanger upset, and he spits on him, and that puts him over the edge. And I love what Brent Ross talking about earlier. He says that been loving Hangman put the belt on him. We're going to talk about Copeland, and is he going to be the one to take the belt off of Moxley? Hot take. I don't think it's going to be Cope. I think it's compelling. I think eventually Cope will have the title before he retires. But I think what's going on here is I think a lot of us thought it was going to be Kenny, or we weren't sure who's going to be the one that saves AEW from Moxley. I think it's going to be Hangman, because I think right now this is long-term storytelling. Right now, MJF is he's the iron that's sharpening the iron. We know what Hangman's capable of. Hangman is capable of going there, burning down somebody's house. And that's one of the things MJF does, is he doesn't bury his opponent. He brings up what they do, but he makes it sound like it's a negative, but he's really reminding the audience, because they were cheering every time he goes, yeah, you burn down someone's house. Yay!
I know.
You drink someone's blood. Yay! You beat up a legend. Yay! All these things, and it was really good.
Yay!
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen, this is going to be a tremendous feud, but I think what we're doing is they're grooming Hangman to be the one, because imagine what's going to happen once Hanger and Moxley, because Moxley keeps saying who's the one that's ready to go there, who can go the limit, and for Hanger's the one that doesn't give a damn, and he will go there, and it'd be interesting to see Hanger take out the entire Death Riders, and
not the aggression for sure.
Compelling storyline. What if it's Hangman and MJF taking down the Death Riders?
I would really find it hard for MJF to backpedal, in a sense, and because anyone going against the Death Riders is got to be a little baby face, and so MJF is playing his role perfectly with the disgusting heel. Unfortunately, we don't have Christian Cage really getting too much of a spotlight with his heelness. Ricochet's taking that charge with main event heel. However, not to really look too far ahead for our Revolution preview show, but given the landscape of this feud, I don't know who wins this match, and I honestly don't know who needs this win more. I feel like Hangman possibly needs this win more, and Hangman should win this match, especially after getting spit in your face. However, in typical MJF fashion, as we learned in that promo, was the record books don't show that, me cheating, essentially. So, it doesn't matter how you win, you get it done. So are we, prepared for another cheat to win moment from MJF? And then, double or nothing is right around the corner. So any of these matches at Revolution could be ran back because of double or nothing.
Yeah.
Now, you brought up a point. I think we should segue right into the Cope /Moxley /main event stuff, because it's all tying together. Death Riders made an appearance, and as they have been, I feel like they've been doing awesome stuff in the ring, and promo work by Mox has been top notch. And where Jay White plays into this going forward, I'm not really sure. However, like, if not now, when would be you capitalize on Cope's momentum right now? So, I mean, he's returned from an injury. He's been on absolute fire. Listen to the crowd ovations. And I know we discussed this via text, and it's kind of be an SPD hot take, and which is kind of like a mini rant right now. But I totally see Cope winning this at Revolution. Now, we've also said this time and time again that Death Riders with the briefcase and the belt make them more compelling because they're chasing. You know, you're essentially everyone's trying to chase them to right the wrongs and right the ship of AEW. However, Cope winning, Death Riders recruiting more members, Death Riders essentially holding the title hostage, even though Cope is the champ. They hold the title hostage.
They keep it. Yep, they keep it in the briefcase.
Public enemy number one, even more.
Yep.
So Cope gets the payoff, the confetti, boom. Death Riders get the heat of a lifetime. You know, confetti cueing, everyone's singing Cope's theme song. Death Riders, you have 2 to 3 masked men surround the ring with the Death Riders, reveal themselves. You know, Jack Perry, Wardlow, whoever it is.
Yep.
It's almost like the Devil Saga all over again, where they recruit more people, beat down Cope, beat down FTR, beat down Jay White, and then they take the title, put it back in the briefcase, end the night, and they leave with the title, even though Cope won the title and is the AEW champ. I would love.
I love that booking. I also think this, and this is why I almost feel like it's a shame that Orange Cassidy came back when he did, because I think he should have stayed off TV for a while. Here's what they should do: they should Death Riders should continue to beat people up, and then they disappear off TV until it's just Cope and FTR.
Good
and
point.
Then kind of what Full Tilt Deb was saying here, she says it should be the entire roster. Think about the best Marvel movie, Endgame. And Moxley is Thanos. And he's got his Death Riders. And add Jack Perry, add a few more there, and have it look like it's, you know, it's here it is, the end. And then Hangman shows up. And then Bryan Danielson shows up. And then
Darby,
Orange Cassidy, Darby, then the entire powerhouse Hobbs. Everybody shows up, and you have this moment where it's like everybody is on one side, and then Death Riders, and then it's like Avengers assemble, and you just have this brawl, and it just goes everywhere. I thought about that too, by the way, Steven. I thought, what are your thoughts, SPD, on Switchblade switching sides?
I was just commenting in the chat there. I was like, no, I love the Bang Bang Gang too so much. And I know it's not, they're not aligned per se at the moment, but I feel like a character like Jay White is so hard to get over with a babyface because he's such a good heel, and he's gotten over. So you like invested so much in him as this, you know, single star babyface. For him to join a stable and kind of be pushed to the back, because you know he's not going to be leading the promos. You know, like, look at like what we're seeing in Claudio. Like Claudio, obviously he's former Ring of Honor world champion.
Yeah.
He can be a top singles guy, but he hasn't said barely much on the mic. It's Moxley leading the charge. So I feel like you need a cast of supporting characters that have main event qualities, but keep the main event guys, the singles guys, such as the Jay Whites, such as, you know, like the Okadas, like, you don't, you know, keep them elevated on their own, whether it be heel or babyface. I don't want them to get lost in the mix of the Death Riders squad. Now, it would be compelling. I would love to see an evil, angry Jay White in the Death Riders, but I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him right now, and his stock is rising because of it.
Well, the Bang Bang Gang, if they ever do come back, they're over. They're baby faces. They should be.
Right.
You know, I just feel like we need to continue we need the young guns. We need the guns. We need Juice back. That was another thing. I was hoping Juice was going to come down and help him. And I don't know his injury status, but to see Juice coming in, it's I I think that's going to be cool. Yeah, they do. I agree with BR. They need a game changing addition. They need somebody like
Wardlow.
Wardlow, somebody else popping in. I think it's going to be tremendous. But I do want to ask too, like we've gotten all this, Marina Shafir finally has some ops here with Willow, but let's pull the trigger. Let's get this Willow Marina Shafir match going. And Willow needs to join forces with Cope and everybody and be that neutralizer be the solution to the problem, if you will, because you don't know me, but you know me. I will say I'm glad they've kept Marina Shafir off the mic. I think this is the Marina Shafir we've needed. I was saying, Blackpool Combat Club, but Death Riders, it's working.
Right.
Willow needs to be the one to stop her.
I think, the writing is there. I mean, you've had 2 interruptions now as of late, so I feel like it's definitely going to happen. We talked about the Bang Bang Gang. And so as you were mentioning that, I was thinking, I'm like, what if they do reunite? And obviously Jay White still has his targets on the Death Riders. If it's not rated FTR, if it's not Patriarchy, if it's not the New Ops, if it's not, Daniel Garcia in 2.0 on Collision, then it's like, I feel like the time is coming for them to drop their belt. I feel like something's going to happen at Revolution where the trios titles should change hands. Now, all signs kind of point forward to Ops, but I could see even if the Ops don't beat them to win the trios champs, if the Bang Bang Gang does reunite, Jay White and the Guns, I would love to see that matchup because Jay White is still having those ties with the Death Rider. As I said earlier in the show, I'm like, what is his motivation? What is his goal? Is he still got the world title on his mind? Is he just got revenge on his mind? Does Jay White, is he just kind of wait and see how things go? But the Ops in their first official match as the Ops with their theme song, their entrance, the Persona versus the Patriarchy, who didn't even get an entrance, unfortunately.
Well, they did have an entrance, but it was before all the hoopla. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But I think that's a safe thing to do. It's, as much as we all love entrances and all that, like if you're going to show a promo to us at home, give the entrance to the live crowd. And if you need to save some time, that's a smart thing. I'm sure they had to save some time after that first, 23-minute promo. But the Ops, unfortunately, Patriarchy just looked weak and out of place, I felt like, unfortunately, but the Ops, I love the name. I love the presentation. Could totally see them as next trios champs. Totally see them.
Absolutely. And I think part of what you and I were talking on our group text were about the Patriarchy. I think what was missing was that the camera work wasn't always on the Patriarchy. But what Christian was doing is Christian is playing up this whole, he's barking orders at Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian. But then when he goes to tag, he's like, well, I don't want to, I'm afraid, but he's acting like he's not. So I think what's developing, and great news, Steven Chambers reporting Sky Blue and Killswitch medically cleared. If Killswitch Sosaurus comes back and turns on Christian, I think we're going to see, I think the whole Patriarchy storyline is about to implode, and we're going to see how that works. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what that develops, but I think I think this was the right decision. It made the Ops look really tremendous. I'm loving this trio now. This is great because Hook needed something, and to be under Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is gonna kill you. As much as I miss Samoa Joe's classic music, and I hope we still hear that from time to time. The Ops, I like this trio. I think this is great, and I'd love to see them. They need to get, as it said in the chat, the Ops deserve a trios tag title shot. And I love how there's actual focus on the trios division. Like it's not like there's actually getting attention. I hope this continues.
We wished on the crystal ball, and we called it part of our end of the year saga there. I hope and I wish that they would adjust the theme song. They could do like kind of a blend. Have an Ops bat signal, like Hook has a bad signal, and then start the Ops theme song with the dun dun dun, dun, and then
y'all don't even know me. Yeah, you all don't even know me.
Because that Joe has such a good pop.
Yes,
with that thing there, but trios, when Samoa Joe was on the mic, he said, "Challenge you next week, Patriarchy, and the winner gets a shot at the trios title." So, are they going to get a shot? Maybe we'll find out on Collision after the Death Riders have their match against Garcia in 2.0, if that's going to be official. And if TK does make that official, that would be an awesome match and could see the titles changing hands there.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of trios, what do you think about that?
Well, I was just going to say, I like trios are compelling because there's with the more focus on the division, it's compelling because you have 3 members. There's 3 different wrestlers, and just you can do a lot more dynamics with those. But speaking of trios, I know you and I were talking about this. An interesting trio last night of commentators. Ian Riccaboni, the man with the plan from Ring of Honor, was on with Excalibur Test. Of course, in the main event, we also got to hear the man with the black hat himself, JR. But you and I were debating, like, what is your favorite trio on commentary? I want to put this to the chat as well. Let's, chat, what is your favorite combo? If you could pick any of the commentary team, what is your favorite combination? SBD, what are your thoughts? I have my thoughts.
I mean, right off the cuff, without really analyzing, it's tough because I feel like they have such a good blend of ones that you could step in, throw them all in a Yahtzee cup, and let it go, and then you can have a great team. However, like the backbone always has to be. Shh, hold on, it's okay.
Yep. Finnegan should be on the trios team, of course.
The backbone of commentary team to me always has to be Excalibur. Like the guy just delivers knowledge nonstop over and over and over. Like I think I would love Excalibur, Nigel, and JR.
Yep. I was gonna say that you've got to have Excalibur. He's the guy running commentary. He's the one. He's focused. He's focused. He knows the time. He has the best picture-in-picture segues, which is now just on Max, whatever. He's great at running the show. He knows the moves. He knows the history. He knows the storylines. He's the man. And then you've got to have, I think, the most entertaining color commentary is Nigel. You got to have Nigel, and he is filling that Bobby Heenan heel color commentator. I don't think Taz is as entertaining when he's a heel. I think Taz just needs to be Taz.
Right.
But I think when Taz is just being Taz, he's entertaining. But you got to have Nigel. Got to have Excalibur. Got to have Nigel. Yep. And JR is great. I do like that he's like the special guest. Like he comes in for the main event and makes it important. I do like that. But if it's without JR, I think Shivani needs to stick more to the mic, to the interviews and like the main ring interviews and such. I would rather see either Taz. I think Ian Riccaboni's great as a secondary, but I would love to see Excalibur, Taz, and Nigel. Except Nigel really does get under Tony Schiavone's skin really good. And so I almost feel like I hate to break those up. But what's great is you can have those 2 different commentary teams. You can have a Dynamite team and a Collision team.
You need that. And they were doing that, Nigel on Collision. And I don't want Collision to fall into the Junior Rampage trap. I want Collision to still have that feel, and I'm really curious, how it's going to be as they start to do more back-to-back shows. Because when you have that back-to-back show, you are that's what they did typically for Rampage, and so you had like the crowd. When you're doing 2-hour shows back-to-back for a crowd, like that's a lot to ask for sure. But as a wrestling fans, that's like the golden ticket. You're getting 2 shows for one, essentially, too. So I don't want Collision to start to get, loose ends kind of, trimmed up, and I want it still to be a quality show. So
Yeah.
Starts with the commentator team, start with the presentation, starts the way the matches are booked. It starts with, the flow of the show. But this was a great trios of commentators that we saw last night on Dynamite. Now let's shift our attention to the women's division, because a lot happened. We have a new champion on Team SBD, Timeless Tony Storm.
The whore you adore.
Appearance. Excellent promo. Outstanding promo. Outstanding presentation. And, I forget what she said. Something about junk or small package.
Her small package was more than she could handle.
Exactly. So I'm so happy that they pulled that trigger down in Australia. It was the right decision. Mariah had such a fantastic run as a champion, and it was great timing, great storytelling by Tony. And I'm really curious, she's kind of, laying down the open challenge per se. And I want to see who's going to step up, and how many true heels are ready to step up to Tony right now.
Well, I think we should consult the champion herself. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the timeless Tony Storm. Thank you, Full Tilt Deb. I got this for Christmas, and let's listen. Yes. Oh, her next challenger will be that whore coward, Wendy Richter, who has been ducking her for some time. Wendy Richter, she'll be the next challenger. There you go. You have it. But yeah, great move to have Tony Storm back. So excited for what's next for her. There's so many, not just in AEW, but outside AEW. And again, we haven't seen the last of this feud with Mariah. Mariah, I think it'd be great to give her some time off of TV for a little bit and then have her show up when you least expect it. Mina Shirakawa is in the United States right now, so you never know when that might show up.
True.
But excellent stuff. I'm so glad Tony won. It was such a great match and such a great moment for her to get all the accolades in her hometown.
Now, someone who could challenge her is a new signee, Megan Bain. She's going versus essentially one of the biggest, baddest women in the division, Chris Statlander, and Megan Bain going face to face. Statlander, I don't want to say looks small, but yeah, I mean, it just shows the size of Bain and the strength. I mean, her strength moves that she showed in the ring, that one suplex from the outside, really reminded me of mini Brian Cage type of style. And it was just, love the dominant performance by her.
Yeah.
And I was a little worried, how she's going to be booked. And I'm liking it so far. And she hasn't said a word on the mic. She just walks with this aura. And, her moves and her in-ring stuff kind of speak for itself. She's got this slow pacing, walk to the ring, and her slow pacing movements in the ring during the matches. And I really, really pumped about where she's going with this. Sorry, I'm watching the game and it's funny.
Well, if I can say too, I mean, this has been a match we were really excited about. I was surprised it happened so early, but then again, pull the trigger. Yes, let's have more compelling matches, women's matches. And this was the one we saw when Megan Bain entered the Casino Gauntlet and just made Statlander look like a cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Statlander and Chris Statlander is that go-to. She is the workhorse of the women's division. Now, I don't want to take away from the other ladies because they're tremendous too. But
You're right.
Statlander is a guaranteed banger in any matches she's in. She elevated Mercedes Moné, a veteran, to the next level. She elevates everybody that she's in, and this was such a great, compelling match because Statlander's a hoss. Statlander is a powerhouse to go against Megan Bain. I like that they're booking Megan Bain. They're not making her a Jade Cargill. They're not giving her the Goldberg treatment. Statlander is so good. Statlander can work with anybody. And I really hope, people recognize that. I think definitely, hopefully in the locker room, that she gets the flowers she deserves because she is tremendous. I thought this was a hoss battle. This was the women's equivalent of meat. This was lady meat. I guess, if you will. I take that for what it was worth. And I really do like the booking. And I agree with Bobby. It's good to see Penelope Ford getting more TV time. But unless you've been under a rock, if you haven't been reading the IWC and the Dirt Sheet Rats and a lot of people crying in their Pop-Tarts, we got to talk about the aftermath. So the aftermath, of course, Penelope Ford cost Statlander the match, which is good because that could lead up to a rematch down the road, maybe a more violent. And then we heard Thunder's old school music, which, no offense to the new music, I like her new theme. It's a bop, but to me, it's a much more chill kind of like low rider down the street bop. Whereas when you hear Thunder Rosa's old school music hit, the Thunder Rosa, you know, an ass kicking is coming. And sure enough, Thunder comes out. She's got a chair. She's ready to kick ass and take names. I will say this.
Hold on. Breaking news. Hold on. Breaking news.
All right, we got breaking news. We don't care about monetization. We're gonna play Leonard Skinner. All good.
All right, if you know, you know. Sorry to interrupt. That is the goal song of Team USA. Just scored to go ahead 2-1 versus Canada. Yeah, buddy.
USA.
All right, carry on.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, and you know that's the thing. I mean, half of our listeners are also watching the game. I'm sure my own better half, Full Tilt Deb, is watching the game, and my tag team party. So it's all go at USA.
Update. But you know your boy SPD is not missing this game too.
Absolutely.
Also, not missing Dynamite download, so it's a 2-for-1.
Absolutely, it is fantastic. We appreciate everybody that's here, and Team USA, go USA, get the Goon Squad out there. IWC, okay. I will say this is my take, because when I first watched this last night live, I was pumped up. I got excited. Thunder Rosa comes out. I wasn't sure what was going on. I read this entire thing differently than apparently a lot of other people did. Thunder gets in the ring, and she raises the chair, and Penelope and Megan don't move. They almost kind of laugh at her, and they're smiling at her. And a couple times Thunder goes like she's going to hit, and then she doesn't. And then I think Penelope tries to grab the chair. I can see where a lot of people said there was a miscommunication, and I think something was supposed to happen differently than it did. However, I'm sitting there thinking, twice Thunder hesitated with that chair. Is she thinking about turning around and smacking Statlander on the head? Because if you look, Statlander's wearing essentially the same gear as Penelope. And I'm starting to wonder, because those of us who are familiar with Mission Pro Wrestling, we've gotten to see what a heel Thunder Rosa is like. If you thought babyface Thunder Rosa was an ass kicker, you haven't seen the ruthlessness of a heel Thunder Rosa, and she's already hinted at this several times in a lot of her promos, talking about how she's come close to getting back gold, but she hasn't quite. Something's missing. She needs to go back to her. She needs to go make a change. Right. And this has been a theme with Thunder Rosa for a long time. Every one of her matches with Deonna Purrazzo always end up in some kind of hardcore death match of sorts. Thunder Rosa is really, she is the queen of that kind of match. She started it with Britt Baker with that the Lights Out Grand Slam. I think we might be seeing an evolution in her character. I definitely think we're going to be leading up to some kind of steel cage or some kind of match like that. Now, there have been other takes. I've heard some takes that Megan Bain was kind of going into business for herself, that they were supposed to leave the ring and they chose not to. I've heard some takes that Penelope was just out of position. She was supposed to be behind Thunder and was supposed to grab the chair and stop her from using it. I've heard different takes, but I was like with Brent Ross. I was popping for Thunder, and I think it would be compelling if there's just something. The thing that stopped Thunder from using the chair is that little voice inside of her saying, "Hey, who do you think you should side with? Maybe you should take a pop onto Statlander and go to the dark side." That's my thought. I'd love to hear everybody in the chat your thoughts. And SBD, when you saw this, what were you thinking?
So I didn't see it live. It was one of the this was part of when I had to start rewatching. I understand the unfortunate landscape of social media as we try so hard to break the cycle, which is very hard to do, and try to really flood the IWC and the internet with positivity. So all this can't just be shine on like one of my AEW haters friends, he texted me this and he goes, "What the F?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh, what now?" Like I got the text and I clicked that link and that's what it was. Whatever. I don't think this should overshadow what happened in the ring and what the storyline we're getting moving forward. I feel like that what we're going to get out of this, the end result, everything should be quickly forgiven. And I feel like when the tag match does happen, hopefully at our Revolution, I think we see some ass kicking, and I hope Thunder almost gives away some receipts. Like you did this and you didn't follow through or whatever it may be. So I'm gonna double stomp you right in the freaking face.
Yeah,
there's a couple of receipts, and so I would love to see that happen, and we just move on from it. Like I don't feel like it's necessary. Like yes, the spot, call a spade a spade. It was a sloppy spot. It was not executed the way I feel like they all wanted it to be executed. It seemed out of place in a sense. However, we just talked about it, we addressed it, and we're moving on. Done.
I think this is two things I want to say about AEW. One, we forget that AEW is not even 6 years old. And a lot of times we compare it to these businesses have been around, like WWE been around for so long, a lot of this stuff. And arguably WWE has the experience, whereas AEW, they're still kind of feeling their stuff. They're still working through their growing pains, and the women's division doesn't get the attention it probably should. The other side is the AEW is really good at, really has always been great, is making lemonade out of lemons. They're going to find a way to make. In fact, a lot of their most compelling storylines were out of situations that started out kind of scratching your head, and by the end you're like, wow, this is fantastic. And it's hard to believe that was their plan the whole time, but like some of they get beauty out of some botches. But I don't know, like, and just to address what Brent said, he goes, if any of the rumors are true, he's gonna be so sad. I always treat rumors like, the dirt sheets are always going to make the worst case scenario. Like, we all have our friends, like you have your friend that's kind of anti AEW and they want to bag on it. It's just, whatever. I don't trust the perspective that's skewed. And there is such a thing as toxic positivity. Also, you got to call a spade a spade. This was a moment that didn't quite communicate what we felt like should have happened. But there is a way to go forward with this that everybody wins. And I think there's multiple different ways. There's even ways we probably don't even know what behind the scenes is going on. Sure. And ultimately, that's it. Ultimately, the only people that really know are Thunder, Megan, Penelope, and unfortunately, and the person that really lost in this whole thing was Chris Statlander, because she put on a banger of a match. And then now that what everybody's talking about is not the match, they're talking about this thing. I will say this, though. I have faith in AEW. I have faith in Thunder. Thunder hasn't let me down yet. This is going to be – they're going to make lemonade out of this. And just wait. We're going to have some banger moments going forward.
I'm excited for the tag match at Store because those four ladies are going to kick each other's ass in a good way. I know we didn't talk about this, but I want to pause for the cause, and I want to turn the tables for
G3. Woo!
Mind Runner's turn to be in the hot seat. And right. I had a few things in mind. I know we were talking a little bit about this, but in interest of time, because there's still a lot of stuff we want to talk to, and I definitely want to talk about the Meat Mayhem match, the street fight. That was definitely our guy Hobbs, a star-making moment on this. My first D3 question for you, Mind Runner, would be, if you could wrestle one gimmick match, what gimmick match would you want to wrestle in? Now, would it be a Buried Alive match, a Royal Rumble, a ladder match, a casket match, the Casino Gauntlet match, Braun Panties match? Like, what would you want?
You know, Braun Panties. Of course, Braun Panties match. Royal Rumble, I've always would love to be in the Royal Rumble match. That's my favorite gimmick match of all time. Casino Gauntlet, if it was going to be AEW only, I'd do the Casino Battle Royal, not the Gauntlet, but the Battle Royal. Right. The Gauntlet's compelling too, though. I do like that. But like, as far as like a one-on-one kind of gimmick match, I think Braun Panties would be great. Would be fantastic. I want to bring back the dog pound match. What was it?
Eat the dog food.
Not the dog food one. It was the one where they were the kennel match, the Chaos in a Kennel match with WWE when they had the dogs running around the ring. And
I don't know if I know this match.
Oh my goodness. It's legendary for all the wrong reasons. One of the reasons is two of the dogs started humping right there at ringside.
That sounds about right for a Vince McMahon match.
Yeah, so I think I would want to go. I would want to do some kind of street fight, kind of thing. Would be a lot of fun. I'm scared of heights, so no ladder match. Plus, I think the ladders would break as I try to climb them. I think something a lot more hardcore would be good.
Right.
I think I think something like that, or a Braun Panties match. That would be tremendous. I would lose the match on purpose just to, but and I get to pick my opponents would be Harley Cameron, Mariah May,
and
Sky Blue, Willow Nightingale, Queen Aminata, and Wardlow. Now,
all males Braun Panty match.
All right, hey, all right, Kenny Omega, Wardlow.
So, all right, like to the main event, real quick.
Bobby Lashley. All right.
Is Cope winning the title at Revolution?
No, he's not. As much as I like your idea of him winning but not getting the title because they keep it hostage. But my answer is no. I don't think he's winning the title.
All right, I like it. Non-wrestling question. If you could take FTD on any vacation in the world, where would you take her?
Oh, I would take her to Aruba or vacation spot, babe.
You got to take her. It's your choice.
Aruba.
Surprise her with a vacation.
Oh, Aruba. I would take her to Aruba. Yep. Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you.
All right, that's good. All right,
absolutely.
That's a good D3. Now let's move on to the Meat Forever match.
Meat Forever.
And Powerhouse Hobbs in the Meat Forever street fight, which the crowd was eating this up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Really a star-making moment once again for Powerhouse Hobbs, consistently week in and week out, growing as a performer, and really.
Hold on a second. I gotta say, the Scoot is in the building. Yes, take her to Parts Unknown. Scoot, I love that. That's a great idea. Take her to the to Parts Unknown. That's the best vacation spot. Anyways, yeah, go right ahead. I mean to cut you off. We have to acknowledge the Scoot when the Scoot shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Scoot, and everyone in the chat for contributing. It's been fun so far, and always seeing you, especially on this TV-filled night of what's going on. As Steven said, live TNA. We got the Four Nations face-off and a lot going on. But back to the street fight, Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, I can't say enough good things about both guys where they're sitting at in their projected, for 2025. Both guys are having excellent years already, and we're just not even at the end of February. Powerhouse Hobbs, star-making moment last night, taking down the Redwood Big Bill in an outstanding, brutal physical match. Told such a great story over the last few weeks. He looks like $1 million every single week. We look at Powerhouse Hobbs and say, man, this guy is a future world champ. And it just showed last night. I love the dynamic of this physicality match. And I mean, the way it ended, I thought it was a perfect ending as well. Him punching the chair when the bounty hunter came out. I mean, just it was.
And Brian Keith sold it.
Loved the way it was.
Brian Keith sold that tremendously too when he punched the chair. The look on him, look. Oh no! You know what Brian Keith did? You remember in Friday when Red's dad tried to complain to Debo, and he goes like, "Hey, now wait a second, you got a problem?" And he goes, "No, what are you coming with me, son? Why are you trying to get your bike back?" That's what Brian Keith looked like. But I think this is tremendous. I think this elevates both people. I mean, we heard the pops that Big Bill was getting tremendous pops. They filmed Ring of Honor in Australia too. So if you got a chance to watch Bandito versus it was the Bandito and Los Outrunners. The Outrunners were luchadors versus the Learning Tree. Big Bill was getting a lot of pops down there.
Well, they're cheering for him nonstop, and then Jericho could feel it and hear it and all that. Like it's going to be a point where he's going to have to give the people what they want, even if he gives them the old one of these and this. Like the fans are still going to cheer more. It's one of those moments. Like, they did that before. I forget where they were at, where he was getting like insane pops.
Oh, it was it was in Wales. Yeah, right before.
Yeah. He's an international superstar. He gets pops in Wales and he gets pops in Australia.
And
Big Bill global worldwide.
And I know our traveling correspondent Brent the Brain Ross was telling us about the huge pops he got on the Jericho cruise, especially when Enzo showed up and to join him in the
international waters.
International waters. But this Powerhouse Hobbs is elevated. Powerhouse Hobbs is now in that, he already had that title shot, but he is now in the conversation with Mox, Cope, Hangman, Swerve. He's in that conversation for title shots. And I'd like to see at some point a Hobbs versus MJF would be kind of like a compelling, and how MJF like scared like crap running from Hobbs. This was fantastic. I do want to address Stephen Chambers in the chat talking about odd that it was a 10 count, and I think that was a call because I think Big Bill was legitimately wrapped up in the barbed wire, and I think to the risk that if he moved, he was going to cut an artery or something. I think he legitimately was stuck. And so they kind of made the call to just do a 10 count because it looked like his left arm was losing circulation or something. I just going back, I think that was a call made to kind of in the match without causing harm. But regardless, we got to eat with this match. It was a delicious steak dinner. It was fantastic. Hobbs is elevated, and I'd like to see what's next for Powerhouse.
Yeah, I'm curious where they go from here. And I'm loving what he's been doing so far in 2025. Great push for Hobbs so far. Now, leading into Revolution, which is very soon away. We're about 17 days away or so, and there's a lot at stake. There's this Revolution, here we go, International Championship Series, which kind of just got thrown into us out of nowhere. And little surprised at this, the booking, why is the champion have to fight for his championship title match at the pay-per-view? But, I had time to think about this after this was announced, and I'm still perplexed. What do you guys think in the chat of just revisiting the OC Roderick stuff? I don't know. So I'm still kind of sour. My oranges have mold on them. My oranges have soured. I was hoping for a little bit more time away. Let the heart heal and Orange Cassidy come back. And because the guy he's not going to be booked to lose in a return. He's not going to be booked to lose. Honestly, if he beats Takeshita next week, I will boycott the international title. But I'm kind of shocked. I don't want Orange Cassidy to intertwine with Kenny Omega at all. Personally, selfishly, I want Kenny Omega to be the star he is, and I don't think Orange Cassidy is anywhere near his level of Kenny Omega. I don't even think he's in the same atmosphere as Kenny Omega. So to share the same breath as him in the ring, in and of itself, should be an honor for Orange Cassidy. And am I being too hard on Orange Cassidy? I don't know. I feel like this was just a strange booking, in my opinion.
And again, I have to shake off my bias from when he was on my draft roster, because I wanted Orange Cassidy to be in every match. But I do think that I feel like what's happening with Orange Cassidy is that he's so over still with everybody. I mean, the kids still dress up like him for Purim, but they're not sure what to do with him because he's still a big star. So they're kind of trying to find a lane for him. I feel like they did mess up. They think he came back a little too soon. They should have had him be a surprise return. Like he should have been something where he shows up to save somebody, because and you notice they had the Jane music back. They didn't have the Where Is My Mind music. He's wearing the blue instead of the black.
Oh, yeah.
He's back to his old thing.
Nuances that you notice, yeah.
Yeah, I think that I hope that they're not booking based on rate. They're not worried about ratings or anything, or they're not a slave now to Warner or whatever. I hope they're thinking about they're keeping in mind storyline, because I think that the storyline has been, Kenny Omega versus Takeshita. That's the storyline. And that's what I just, the Orange Cassidy being, and even Roderick Strong being involved. I don't want to, again, I say this not taken away from these guys at all. I'm actually a Roderick Strong fan.
Yeah, me too.
I will say that I am glad they did at least somewhat address the conglomeration.
True.
But it does just seem like it was kind of like glossed over. It's like one of those lines they reshoot in a movie, like, oh, we got to address this for the fans so that there's no inconsistencies. It's like, good thing there's a line in a movie or something where they said, I'm so glad we invented that thing that does this or whatever. So, it's like they addressed it in the match a little bit, but there really wasn't a compelling storyline reason for Kyle O'Reilly to, there could have been a whole compelling thing where he had to choose between the conglomeration and the Undisputed. And I think that would have been weeks worth of storyline they could have milked, including Mark Briscoe, but they didn't. I just feel like they kind of rushed Orange Cassidy's return. It was kind of like now maybe that's the point. It's a whatever return,
and then you don't even address the Death Rider saga stuff. Like, you got poisoned and put off TV, and now all of a sudden it's just like, I guess it's no different than Jeff Jarrett and MJF just randomly ending their feud too. So there's times in wrestling where you, as fan, you want the story to continue or the story to end so you can start a new book, essentially. But then it's like, not always will time heal that. And so we're like, well, we where was he last? Well, he was, being poisoned by the Death Riders. And the announce team didn't really address that. They were just saying, kind of, healing from injury and things like that. So
now I'm going to offer one observation. I think just knowing some background. I know that Takeshita is supposed to do a little tour of CMLL for a little bit. I'm wondering if Takeshita is going to be out of country for a while, and this is a way to get the title off of Takeshita by March 9th, so that Orange beats Takeshita next week. Then it's Orange versus Kenny, but Kenny ultimately what? I think regardless, the plan is, I would rather have it be Takeshita to Omega, but I think the plan right now is for Kenny to win the international championship, and then at Double or Nothing, belt for belt, it's going to be Kenny versus Okada.
That'd be great.
And I think that is what they're building to. And one thing about Tony is when he makes his mind about something, he sticks to it. Like he finds a way to make it happen. And I think this is Tony Khan working it into the long-term plan that's eventually what it's going to be. It's going to be Kenny versus Okada, belt for belt, maybe merging the belts into one.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, those two belts separately are not, I think one powerful belt, the international belt, is better than, but then you might lose that tournament, the Continental Classic tournament, which has been such a huge hit. So I would love to see the belt for belt match that we've been wanting to have with Okada and Kenny, because we know that's a money feud. But I'm not sure where this goes. The last thing I want to see is Orange Cassidy, return and then get on a pay-per-view, a week later after being gone for so long. So I selfishly want him to lose, and then you don't, earn yourself a shot on the pay-per-view, earn yourself that, like, not just being gifted these random title shots out of nowhere after you haven't done squat. But that's all I got to say about that. We're coming up to, we'll announce when we're going to do our Revolution pay-per-view preview show. I'm looking at the calendar, probably going to be on a Saturday night. We got the Revolution pay-per-view on March 9th coming right up. And so we'll either do a Friday night Flights and Fights pay-per-view show or Saturday night Slam for the preview show. And then everyone's going to put their bingo kicks for +3. But yeah, recently announced Double or Nothing, May 25th, Sunday in Arizona, moving away from their home in Vegas. And now we're going to see them in the desert. So that's exciting stuff.
I think it's interesting too. People that were at the Arizona show said that when Tony Khan came, he usually comes out to hype the crowd, that he came out and everybody was booing him until he said, "We're coming back," and now they announced Double or Nothing, and it was like, "Oh, that's okay. We love you, Tony." Like, that's all right. We forgive you. So I do think that it was the same with in Australia. They were booing him in Australia until he said they're coming back to Australia very soon. So
right, I don't know why he's getting boos.
I think a lot of it is that there is a lot of the dirt sheet stuff. I guess there was some confusion on what Grand Slam was supposed to be. They moved venues, whatever. The usual whatever. But again, AEW's great they're like the Tai Chi wrestling booking. They take whatever energy, good or bad or whatever, and they take it and they just they turn it into a lemonade. And I think it's fantastic. Oh, suggestion in the chat. How do y'all feel about this? A Revolution watch along.
Well, I know. In typical, like, I'll be able to watch it live. I know sometimes you pause it if you need a little break or whatever, but we'll consider that. Definitely consider that. I like that idea.
Deb shot that down.
No, but well, guys, that's wrapping it up. I'm going to close off and head on out. Here's our top performer of the night, and watch the third period. It's tied 2-2. The second period's almost over, and we're going to go into the third tie game. It's going to be quite the emotional roller coaster to end the Four Nations face-off, 2-2 going in third. So I'm excited. Powerhouse Hobbs, I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, top performer of the night. Awesome night for Hobbs. Killer performance, and definitely a top guy in AEW that everyone should be on notice to look out for.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, please like, subscribe, please share. Let's get some more members of the Dynamite Galaxy out there. I mean, we love you all, but it'd be great to just continue to build our audience, build more people in the chat and interact with and have fun with. It's been so much. We love you so much for being here. Thank you for everybody. On behalf of SPD, the Goon of for hockey, the SPD, and Full Tilt Deb in the Peanut Gallery. She's watching the game. I'm Mind Runner, and we'll see you all next Thursday.